Shalom Aleichem and welcome to chapter 11, where we're looking at attaching nouns to pronominal suffixes. In this chapter, we're going to look at how Hebrew nouns attach pronominal suffixes. So let's get started. Now you may be wondering, what are pronominal suffixes? What are pronominal pronouns? They're called pronominal pronouns or pronominal suffixes. So what are pronominal suffixes? Now if you remember, in the previous chapter, we're looking at pronouns, and we said that Hebrew words are like families. Some live alone, and these are called independent pronouns. And these are pronouns that stand alone. They are not attached to the word, but they stand alone. And others live together as couples, and these are called pronominal suffixes or pronominal pronouns. Now know this, in Hebrew we can add some characters to the end of the word, and these characters or letters at the end of the word are called suffixes. So these highlighted characters are called suffixes. And they're important because they tell us who something or someone belongs to. These characters that you add at the end that are called suffixes, they tell us who something or someone belongs to. So pronominal pronouns or pronominal suffixes in Hebrew are used to show possession. They're used to say my, your, ours, theirs, yours in Hebrew. So if you want to say your book, your hand, your house, if you want to show possession like that, you use pronominal suffixes. You're going to attach these characters to the end of the word. Let's look at the example there. We're using the word bayit, and bayit means house. How do you say my house in Hebrew? Now, to say my house in Hebrew, you're going to add e at the end, and that's going to be beiti, beiti. And beiti means my house. And they're called suffixes. They're called suffix because they're added at the end of the word. Now you need to know these phrases. We have suffixes. These are the ones that are added at the end of the word. And we have prefixes. A prefix is something that is added at the beginning of the word. And we have infixes. An infix is added in between the word. So these ones we're looking at today are called suffixes, added at the end of the word. And so if you want to say my house in Hebrew, you're going to say beiti, beiti. That e at the end tells you you're talking about my house. My is e in Hebrew. Beiti, beiti means my house. Beit, from the word bayit, bayit means house. When you want to show possession, you say beiti, my house. What about if you want to say your house? You're going to add another different suffix, and that's going to be cha, cha, to the end of the word. And so you're going to say beit cha, beit cha. That cha is telling you that you're talking about your house, not my house, but your house. Beit means house, beit cha means your house, beit cha. And if you want to say his house, you attach another different ending, another different suffix, and that's going to be the o at the end of the word. So bayit means house. If you want to say his house, you're going to say beito, beito, and that means his house. So that holy moal is how you say his in Hebrew. That holy moal at the end shows you're talking about his house. Now notice three things here. Number one, the pronominal suffixes are added to show possession. My, your, his, theirs. Those are pronominal suffixes showing you possession by adding these endings that we're going to see. And so when you see these at the end of a noun word, these are showing possession. And number two, there's going to be some vowel changes. When you add these endings to the noun, you're going to see some vowel changes. And this is normal in Hebrew because almost every time you're adding endings, suffixes to the word, you're going to see some vowel changes, and sometimes the form is going to change. For example, here, it's bayit, and it means house. When you attach the ending, it becomes beiti, beiti. The hierarchy is going to be dropped. And so you're going to see these changes. Sometimes there'll be form changes, spelling changes. Sometimes you're going to see vowel changes. That's second. And thirdly, if a noun has pronominal suffixes, that noun is considered to be definite. It's definite. Because of these endings, the pronominal suffixes are adding to the word, the noun is considered to be definite. You're going to see how this all applies. And so let's look at the suffixes that are added to the word to show possession. Alright, here's a table of suffixes that are added to show possession. These are the suffixes that we add to the noun to show possession. Now in this chapter, you need to pay extra attention because this part is very important in Hebrew, because these are going to be used more often. You're going to see them a lot, and so understanding it is very important. So as we said, these are the ones you add at the end of the word to show possession. Let's go through them. Now the first two rows, this one and this one, these are the ones that are added on singular nouns. For example, if you're talking about a horse and you want to show possession to the word horse, if you want to say my, her, or his horse, you're going to attach these endings here. These are the ones that allow you to say my, her, his horse. So these ones are added to singular nouns. And the second two rows are the suffixes that are added on plural nouns. For example, if you're talking about horses, not a horse, but you're talking about horses, you're going to attach these endings to show possession to the word horses. If you want to say my horses, her horses, his horses, you're going to attach these endings here. So the first two rows are added on singular nouns. The second two rows are added on plural noun. If a noun is plural, you're going to add these endings here. Now, know this. The singular noun suffixes, these first two rows, are called type 1 suffixes. They have a name. They're called type 1 suffixes. And the plural noun suffixes are called type 2 suffixes. So we have type 1, these ones, and we have type 2, these ones. Type 1 are added on singular noun. For example, if you're talking about a horse, one horse, and you want to show possession to the word horse, you're going to add type 1 suffixes, these ones. But if you're talking about more than one horse, horses, you're going to add type 2 suffixes. So type 1 and type 2. Now don't master this table yet. I'm going to guide you on when you can master it. For now, just observe these things I'm pointing out. So for now, know that these are the endings that you add on nouns to show possession. And we have type 1 and we have type 2. Now let's see how they work with nouns using a highlighted chart. Let's use a highlighted chart to see how they work with nouns. Now remember, we said we can add some characters to the end of the word, and these characters are called suffixes. These characters that you're seeing on the screen are the ones that tell us who something or someone belongs to. If you're talking about a house, who does it belong to? Is it my house, or your house, or his house, or her house? So all this possession is seen by the ending, by the suffix at the end. The suffix tells you who something or someone belongs to. And these are called suffixes, pronominal suffixes. Now, these ones that you're seeing on the screen are the same suffixes as the previous ones. So all these ones you're seeing are type 1, and we're going to look at type 2. I've just separated type 1 from type 2. So we're going to look at first type 1 and to move into look at type 2 suffixes. So these ones on the screen are type 1 suffixes, those that are added on singular nouns to show possession. Now notice on the screen you have masculine suffixes, and these are the ones that you add to masculine singular nouns. And then you have feminine suffixes, and these are the ones that you add to feminine singular words or nouns. So you have masculine and feminine. And also there are two parts. On top here you have singular forms, and down here you have plural forms. So you have the singular and the plural. Now here's something very important to know. Here's something that you need to know about the suffixes. If you're referring to a masculine thing or person, you add masculine suffixes. And if you're referring to a feminine person or thing, you're going to add feminine suffixes. So the suffixes you're adding have to match with the subject being referred to. For example, if you're talking about the house, if the owner of the house is male, you're going to use these masculine suffixes. If the owner is female, if you're talking about something that belongs to a female, you're going to use feminine suffixes. So the suffixes match with the subject being referred to. They indicate the gender or the person being referred to. That's how they work. Again, these are type 1 suffixes. Let's go through the chart and see how it works. So remember, pronouns of person, and so you have first person, second person, third person on the singular, and in the plural also you have the same. First person, second person, third person, both in the masculine and feminine. Now let's look at the first person. In the first person, both in the masculine and feminine, you're seeing that the ending, the suffix is the same. So that's why the first person, singular and plural, is called common, because the ending is the same. And that is seen in the singular as well as in the plural. In the singular, you have E and E, same suffix. In the plural, you have enu and enu, same suffix. You have serenu and you have serenu. So the first person is called first person common because it has common or same endings or suffixes. And that makes life easier as you are knowing or mastering this chart. So let's look at how they attach to words. If you want to say my covenant, and covenant in Hebrew is berit, berit. If you want to say my covenant, you're going to say beriti, beriti. That E at the end is how you say my. So it means my covenant. So you're going to attach this suffix to the word berit. It becomes beriti. Now sometimes there are vowel changes, sometimes there are no vowel changes. But what is important for now is to observe how the ending, the suffix, is added to the noun and how to translate them. So if you want to say my covenant, you say beriti. Now this can point to a masculine or feminine person because the ending is the same. But in the second person, you have the kha ending in the masculine and the kh ending in the feminine. So if you want to use the word am in Hebrew means people. Am means people. Am is a Hebrew word for people. So if you want to show possession on the Hebrew word am, you're going to say amecha, amecha. That kha at the end is a masculine suffix, as you can see, it's from the masculine. And Hebrew is very specific, so when you're looking at the ending, you can tell who you're talking about, whether you're talking about a feminine or a masculine noun. So if a male and female are standing and you say amecha, the ending, since the ending is masculine, it means that we're talking about your people, and your refers to the masculine, the male person there, your people. Why? Because Hebrew suffixes have to match with the gender of the person being referred to. So amecha, your people. Now in English, we say your people whether we're talking about a masculine person or a feminine person, a masculine noun or a feminine noun. But in Hebrew, it's specific. The gender is known based on the ending or the suffix. So amecha means your people. And if you want to refer to a feminine, you say amech, amech. And that means your people. The translation is still the same, your people. But that will point to a feminine noun, your people. In the third person, we have this example here, beito, beito. And beito means his house. Beito means his house. As you can see, that o is coming from the masculine, meaning that the owner of the house is male. His house, beito. And if it's female, you say beita, beita, her house. Let's come to the plural. In the plural, you have an example, betsaumenu, betsaumenu. Betsaumenu comes from the Hebrew word that means image. And if you want to say in our image, notice the be is a preposition, it means in. If you want to say in our image, you say betsaumenu. And that can point to a masculine or a feminine noun. The owner can be female or male because the u at the end there is common. It's found in the masculine as well as the feminine. In the second person plural, you have this example here, yedchem, yedchem. And that means your hand, your hand. So if you want to say your, you add chem at the end. Now if you check on the chart, you have the masculine. If the owner is masculine, you say yedchem. If the owner is feminine, you say yedken, yedken. Yedkem, masculine, yedkem, feminine. The translation is still your because second person in English is translated as your hand, your hand. But notice, since it's plural, it means that the your we're talking about, this your, so it's not one person. This hand is not belonging to one person, but to many, your hand. Alright, in the third person, we have kevodam, kevodam, kevodam. And that am at the end is coming from the feminine, you can see. In the masculine, you have an. In the feminine, you have am. And most of the times, the difference will be very minimal. An, am. An, am. That makes it easy for you to know. Second person, you have kem. Feminine, you have ken. Kem, ken. So that makes it easy for you to know. So in this example, you have the word kevodam. That dam is coming from the feminine plural, third person feminine plural. And since it's in the third person plural is they. So in this case, showing possession, so it's their glory, their glory. Kevodah is coming from the Hebrew word for glory, kavod, kavod. Kavod means glory. So kevodam means their glory. It's plural, their. So that is in the third person feminine plural, their glory. So this is how endings work in type 1. Type 1, remember, these are endings, these are suffixes that are added to singular noun. Example, covenant, people, house, image, hand, glory. These are singular nouns. If they are plural, you are going to use type 2, as we're going to see. So type 1 is for singular nouns. You need to master this chart. You need to know it. You need to know these endings and what they are translated to. My, your, his, our, your, their. Those are the translations, can be masculine or feminine, singular or plural. Now let me just give you some hints on how you can know the chart easily. And this hint can only work if you still remember how to greet in Hebrew. You remember when you're starting, I taught you how to greet in Hebrew. I gave you some common Hebrew greetings. Greetings like Mashlomech, Mashlomcha, Shalom Aleichem. If you still remember those are very important to helping you learn the suffixes here, because those greetings use the suffixes. For example, we talked about this greeting, Mashlomcha, Mashlomcha. The cha, it's coming from here, masculine second person singular. Mashlomcha, and it means how are you? How are you? So the cha means you. How are you? But then notice it's how are you, and you're asking a male person because it's masculine. How are you? You can't say how are you. You can't say mashlomcha to a female person. If you want to say that to a female person, you say mashlomech, mashlomech. That at the end is coming from the second person feminine singular. Remember the greeting for a group of people? A male group, you say Shalom Aleichem. This chem, second person masculine plural. Shalom Aleichem. Aleichem means upon you. Shalom means peace. So peace upon you. A male group. Shalom Aleichem. And if it's a feminine group, if it's a female group, you say Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, male group. Shalom Aleichem, female group. So those are going to help you a lot. You need to use those to know these endings. Know what the suffixes mean. You need to be able to identify them when you're looking at the word, for example, beriti. Once you see that E at the end, you know that it's talking about my something, my this, my house, my car. So that E is telling you it's my. So use this chart to master these singular noun suffixes. These are called type 1 suffixes. These are the ones that you put on singular nouns. So master this chart as well as the next one, and the next one is showing type 2 suffixes. Let's take a look at them. So these ones are called type 2 suffixes because they're added on plural nouns. As you can see, you have laws, commandments, generations, graves, words, hands. Singular nouns type 1 we had hand. Here we have hands. If you want to say my hands, plural noun, my laws, you're going to add these type 2 suffixes. If you're talking about my law, my law, you're going to use type 1. My laws uses type 2 because the noun is plural. So type 2 has plural suffixes. That's very important for you to know. So type 1, the noun is singular. Type 2, the noun is plural. So let's take a look at it. Now, as you're looking at the chart, type 2 suffixes have a special marker, and that marker is sereyod. The marker is sereyod. In the singular, on the singular forms, on top you have singular form, down you have plural forms. So on the singular form, you can see it has patach yod, or segoyod, or sereyod. So these are key. That yod, the yod is your key. Sometimes it's sereyod, sometimes it's patach yod, sometimes it's kametz yod. The yod is your key. That's telling you that you're talking about type 2, which are plural nouns, which are plural suffixes. So that yod is going to be important. When you look at the plural forms, as you can see in the plural form, you have sereyod throughout. So that sereyod is key, is telling you that you're talking about type 2. So type 2 has yod, sometimes it's sereyod, sometimes it's segoyod. But that is how Hebrew communicates that you're now talking about plural forms or plural nouns. And these are type 2 suffixes. Let's look at how they're added. Remember, first person singular, my. Second person is your. Third person is his or has or its. First person plural, it's our. Second person plural, you have your. Third person plural, it's their. So you need to know how that works. Let's look at the examples. The first one is torotai. And torotai, that I, that patach yod, is saying my. That's how you say my. Now notice it's not my law, because these are now type 2 suffixes. These are on plural nouns. Once you see I, torotai, that I at the end tells you that the noun you're looking at is plural. So it's not my law, but my laws. Second example is mitzotecha. Mitzotecha, it means your commandments. That cha at the end is how you say your commandments. Instead of saying commandment, but because of the sereyod here, sereyod cha is now a plural. The noun is plural. You say commandments. And the third person singular of the example, dorotao, dorotao. The last letter there is wow, dorotao. And that kametz yod wow is coming from the masculine. You have kametz yod wow, and it means his generations. So dorotao means his generations. In the plural forms, we have these examples. First one is kevarenu, kevarenu, kevarenu. That nu means our. That nu means our. So the our, the nu is mixing with the word that means grave. So you have kevarenu, which means our graves. It's not our grave because this is type 2. That sereyod is telling you that this word you're looking at, the noun is plural. So translation is going to be plural. Remember, sereyod means the noun is plural. So the translation is going to have plural on the noun, our graves, our graves. In the second person plural, you have this example, divrechem, divrechem. And divrechem means your words. Remember, divrechem, it has two things here. You have the suffix echem, which means your. Divrei, that comes from the word davar, which means word. So you have divrechem, your words. So again, knowing vocabulary is very important here. If you know your vocabulary, it's going to save you a lot. Remember, translation is about, do you know your vocabulary? And can you identify the endings or the suffixes? That's all about translation. So you need to know vocabulary as well as this chart or these charts that we're looking at. Point into a group of male people or male things, your words. And if you want to say these words belong to a female group, you say divrechen, divrechen means your words. The translation in English is still the same, but Hebrew differentiates gender. Hebrew can tell you, are we talking about male or female? Are we talking about singular or plural? So Hebrew is very specific with that. Third plural, we have this example, yedehem, yedehem. Again, there's that sereyod, sereyod hem. That sereyod connecting the suffix with the word, the noun, that is your sign of type 2, meaning that the noun is plural. So instead of saying their hand, you say their hands, their hands. So this is how type 2 pronominal suffixes work. Remember, they are added on plural nouns. Let's go through them. In the masculine singular, first person singular, you have a, and that is the same as the feminine, a. Second person singular, you have echa. In feminine, you have aich, aich. In third person masculine singular, you have au, au. That is kametz yod wow, kametz yod wow. In feminine, you have eha, eha, eha. In first person plural, you have similar form. Remember, the first person has similar endings. It has similar suffixes. In the singular, you have I. In the plural, you have einu, einu. That's why we call it first person common. First person common. Because the ending, the suffix is the same. Einu, einu. Second person plural, we have eichem. And in the feminine, you have eichen. Eichem, eichen. So that is second person plural. Third person plural, we have, in the masculine, we have ehem, ehem. And in the feminine, we have ehen, ehen. So these are type 2 suffixes. You need to know this as well. You need to know this as well. But as you can see, as I've said, there are similarities to type 1. But the only difference is that these ones add yod, yod, yod. Sometimes there will be sego yod, sere yod, kametz yod in the singular. But the plural, throughout you're going to see sere yod. Remember, Hebrew is about practicing, practicing, practicing. The more you practice, the more you know the language. Alright, let's look at pronominal suffixes on singular nouns. Let's look at examples of other nouns when they take pronominal suffixes. So on this chart, we'll start looking at type 1, and then on the next, we'll look at type 2. So type 1, meaning pronominal suffixes added to singular nouns. For example, horse. On type 2, we're going to look at those added to plural nouns. For example, horses. Okay, so on this chart, we want to look at how you say my horse or his horse or your horse, a singular noun, horse. Remember, these suffixes tell us who something or someone belongs to. My, your, his, her. So they tell us who something or someone belongs to. They are showing possession. Alright, so let's look at the examples. Remember, we're using sus. Sus means horse in Hebrew. So if you want to say my horse, you're going to add that e suffix is telling you it's my horse. So it's going to be susi, herakiod, susi. So second person masculine, we have suscha, and that means your horse. And if the owner is feminine, if the owner is female, we're going to say susech, meaning your horse. Notice translation is the same in English. English does not care about the gender. Hebrew cares about the gender. So your horse, suscha, and you have susech. In the third person masculine singular, you have suso. If you want to say his, suso, meaning his horse. In the feminine, it's going to be susa. So susa means her horse. The hey is going to have the mapik. On the plural forms, in the first person common, if you want to say our, you're going to say sosenu. Sosenu means our horse. That nu at the end is our. Remember, it's not our horses, because horses is now plural noun. So you're going to use type 2. But since you're using type 1, you're going to say sosenu, our horse. Second person masculine, you say suschem. That's how you say your horse. Second person feminine, in the feminine, you're going to say suschen. And that's how you say your horse, feminine. Third person masculine plural, you're going to say susam. There's that kametz mem, that means their horse. And third person feminine plural, you have susan, their horse. And all these endings are coming from the chart. So if you know the chart, you're going to know how to translate. That's how you add the suffixes to singular nouns. Let's look at the plural noun, or those using type 2. For a plural noun, for example, horses, you're going to say susai, meaning my horses. Remember, in the singular, on type 1, we said susi, meaning my horse. In the plural, you're going to say susai, meaning my horses. It's now plural. The noun is now plural. So it's going to be susai, horses, my horses. That is the first person common. And the second person, you're going to say susecha, meaning your horses. Second person, feminine, you're going to say susaich, meaning your horses. Third person, you're going to say susau, 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 meaning his horses, his horses. Third person feminine, you're going to say suseha, suseha, and that means her horses, her horses. On the plural forms, if the owners are a lot, you're going to use the plural forms. So on the plural forms, you have the example susenu, susenu, and susenu means our horses. Remember the nu means our. So our horses, susenu, our horses. And second person masculine, in the plural you have susechem, susechem, and that means your horses. Second person feminine plural you have susechen, susechen, and that means your horses. Third masculine plural you have susehem, susehem, so it's their horses. So third person feminine plural you have susehen, susehen, and that means their horses, their horses. So let's go through the examples again. Susai, susecha, susaich, susau, suseha, susenu, susechem, susechen, susehem, susehen. That's how you add the suffixes. That's how you add type 2 suffixes on plural nouns. Remember, if it's type 2, it means that the noun is plural, and so that needs to be seen in how you're translating it. Horses, horses, horses. That's type 2. That's very important. Let's move on. Here's another example word, and here we're using Torah. Let's see how you add suffixes to Torah. Torah means law. Torah means law. It's singular. And so since the noun is singular, it's going to use type 1. Now, notice that when Torah is showing possession or having the suffixes, when you add the suffixes to the word Torah, the form is going to change. The spelling is going to change. It's going to be Torat. It's going to be Torat, Torat. You're going to see Torat, Torat, Torat throughout, because we said that when you're adding these suffixes, some words are going to change their spelling. So you're going to see these changes. But what is important for now is to know the endings. Once you know the endings, you're going to know how to translate the word. So Torah with the suffixes becomes Torat. Let's see what we have. First person common, we have Torati, Torati, and that E is how you say my law. Torati, my law. Second person we have Toratcha, Toratcha, and that means your law, your law. Second person feminine, you have Toratech, Toratech, and Toratech means your law, feminine. Third person masculine, you have Torato, Torato, Torato means his law. Third person feminine, you have Torata, Torata, and means her law, her law. Torato, his law. Torata, her law. On the plural forms, you have Toratenu, Toratenu. Toratenu means our law, our law. Second person masculine plural, you have Toratchem, Toratchem, Toratchem. And Toratchem means your law, your law. Second person feminine plural, you have Toratken, Toratken. Toratken means your law. Third person masculine plural, you have Toratam, Toratam. Toratam means their law. Am is for third person masculine plural. It means their, in the masculine. In the feminine, third person feminine plural, you have Toratan, Toratan. It means their law, their law. This is type 1. Remember, type 1 on a singular noun is type 1. But let's look at how to say laws, my laws. Let's look at type 2. Alright, this is type 2 and we're adding it on the plural noun. Now instead of Torat, we're adding it on Torot. Torot means laws. Torah is singular. Torot is plural. So again, let's go through the chart. In the first person common, we have torotai. Torotai. Torotai means my laws. Remember, this is a plural noun. Type 2 shows plural noun. That's why we're saying laws and not law. Second person, we have torotecha. Torotecha. Torotecha means your laws. So torotecha means your laws. Second person feminine, we have torotaich. Torotaich. And that means your laws. Third person masculine, we have torotau. Torotau. And that means his laws. Third person feminine, we have toroteha. Toroteha. And that means her laws. Her laws. First person common plural, we have torotenu. Torotenu. That nu is saying our laws. Second person masculine plural, we have torotechem. Torotechem. And that means your laws. Second person feminine plural, we have toroteken. Toroteken. And that means your laws. In the third person masculine plural, we have torotehem. Torotehem. And that means their laws. Third person feminine plural, we have torotehen. Torotehen. And that means their laws. So let's go through. Torotau, torotecha, torotaich, torotau, toroteha, torotenu, torotechem, and torotechen. The last ones we have torotehem and torotehen. So this is how you add type 2 suffixes to nouns. Language learning is about practicing. The more you practice to read the Hebrew Bible, the more you practice to write these things, the more you know them. So practice, practice, practice. Now let's try to pass these words. Now remember, to pass is to simply identify the noun or word you're given, to tell its gender, number, or person, to tell where the word is coming from. That is to pass. That is passing. So if I say pass this word, you're going to give where the word is coming from. Its gender, number, or person. It's person, gender, and number. Person, gender, and number. And you're going to give its lexical form. Lexical form is how it appears on the vocabulary. Its original word, where the word is actually coming from. And translation, you're going to translate what the word you're looking at means. That is passing. That is passing. So for the rest of these words you're going to look at, I want you to translate to identify the suffix and give the lexical form. That's what I want you to do. The first word is melachai. Melachai. Melachai, that I is telling you that this is coming from the first person common singular. And because it's patachiod, patachiod is telling you that this is coming from type 2. So I want you to also show if it's type 1 or type 2. So kametz yod is type 2. Type 1 was going to be melaki, melaki, meaning my king. But type 2 has melachai, which means my kings. Remember, type 2 is plural, so my kings, my kings. And this is coming from the noun melech, melech. And melech means king. So identifying the lexical form is going to help you to translate the word. If you can't identify the lexical form, you're not going to translate the word because you don't know what the word actually means. You may know what the suffix means, but if you don't know what the noun means, you're not going to translate the word. So melakai means my kings, my kings. So the suffix is first person common singular. First person common singular. And that is type 2. Next word you have achenu. Achenu. Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Achenu, because of that sereyod, is type 2. And because of the nu is coming from first person common. First person common plural on type 2. And that means our brothers. The word is coming from ach. And ach means brothers. So achenu means our brothers. It's plural because it's going to be brothers because type 2 suffixes are plural nouns. are plural nouns. So acheinu means our brothers, from the word ach, brother. Next of this word, can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. You can tell the suffix there, kametz yod, is a type 2. Type 2 first person common singular. Type 2 first person common singular. And this one is an irregular form. It comes from the word bat. Bat. Bat means daughter. But when you add the ending, when you add the suffix, it becomes benotai. It becomes benotai. And benotai means my daughters. My daughters. It's daughters because type 2, remember the kametz yod, sign of type 2 suffix. So my daughters, first person common singular, my daughters. Next of this word, torotehen, torotehen, torotehen. Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Torotehen. That hen, notice you have sereyod, sereyod hen. That sereyod hen is a key of type 2 suffix. So torot means laws. It's in the plural. This is a plural noun. Why is it plural? Because of the sereyod hen. That's type 2. Type 2 suffixes are added on plural nouns. So torotehen. A hen, that ending, that suffix, a hen, is coming from third person, feminine plural. Third person plural is translated as their. So you have their laws, their laws. Torot means laws. So you have their laws. So the suffix is third person, feminine plural, type 2 suffix. Coming from the word, the lexical form is Torah. Lexical form is Torah. Next of this word, ne'arai, ne'arai. Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Ne'arai is coming from the word na'ar. Na'ar means a young man, a lad. And that I, that patach yod, is a sign of type 2. And so that is type 2 first person common singular. Type 2 first person common singular. So the translation is going to be my young men, my young men. Next of this word, admator, admator, admator. Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Admator is coming from the word adama. Adama. Adama means ground. The suffix or is coming from third person masculine singular. Third person masculine singular. So this one is going to be type 1. Why? You are not saying sereyod, kametz yod, patach yod. This one is type 1 suffix. And third person masculine singular is going to be translated as his ground, his ground. Admator, his ground. Next of this word, hachmata, hachmata, hachmata. Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Notice you have that a. The a suffix is coming from third person feminine singular. Third person feminine singular. It's type 1 because you're not saying sereyot, kametz yod. It comes from the word hachma. Hachma means wisdom. It means wisdom. Hachmata. The translation is ha wisdom. Third person feminine singular, ha wisdom. So the translation has to match the suffix. Translation has to match the person, gender, and number. Ha wisdom. Next of this word, mitzotai. 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 Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Mitzotai is coming from the word mitzvah. Mitzvah. Mitzvah means commandment. The suffix I is coming from first person common singular. 1cs means first person common singular. And because of the patachiod, that is going to be a type 2. Type 2. And type 2 are those that are going to be added on plural nouns. So instead of saying my commandment, you're going to say my commandments, plural, a plural noun. Next we have this word, Toratan, Toratan, Toratan. Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Toratan is coming from Torah. It's coming from Torah. Torah means law. That an at the end is third person feminine plural. Third person feminine plural. And that's coming from type 1. That's a type 1. Again, if it was type 2, it was going to be maybe kametziod or patachiod or sereyod. But an is from third person feminine plural. Third person feminine plural is translated as their. So it's going to be their law. Their law. It's singular. Their law. Law singular. Why? Because type 1, singular noun. Their law. Next we have this word, beiti. Beiti. We have looked at this word. Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Beiti means my house. That E at the end means my. And beit is coming from bayit. The lexical form for beit is bayit. Bayit. Bayit means house. So beiti means my house. Suffix is first person common singular. First person common singular. By looking at the word, you must know where it's coming from. You must know its suffix. The suffix here is coming from first person common singular. And E is type 1. Type 1. Beiti, my house. Not my houses, but my house. Let's move. The next word is avdo. Avdo. Can you try to pass that? You can be pausing the video to try. Alright, here's the passing. Avdo is coming from the word eved. Eved. Eved means servant. Eved means servant. The suffix O at the end there. The suffix coming from third person masculine singular. Third person masculine singular. And that is the type 1. It means his. It means his. Avdo is going to be his servant. His servant. Servant singular because we're dealing with type 1. His servant. Alright, that's on passing. Let's look at translations. Examples on translation. How to translate phrases that are having pronominal suffixes. And so let's look at them. First example there we have the phrase Gadol Adonenu. Gadol Adonenu. Gadol Adonenu. Gadol means great. You know that adjective. Adonenu is coming from the word Adonai. Adonai means Lord. Adonenu means our Lord. Literally it means our lords. Our lords. That's type 2. As first person common plural in type 2. Literally supposed to be our lords. Great is our lords. But since it's referring to the true God, you say great is our Lord. Next phrase we have Yahweh Elohenu Diber Elenu. Yahweh Elohenu Diber Elenu. How to translate that phrase? Now this calls for you to know your vocabulary. Apart from just knowing the suffixes, translation needs you to know vocabulary. And most of these words you have already looked at them. Yahweh means Lord, capital L-O-R-D, Lord. Elohenu is coming from the word Elohim. Elohim means God. Elohim means God. And you can see it's carrying a suffix, a pronominal suffix. And if you check that pronominal suffix, that nu, that enu, segoyod nu, because of that segoyod, is plural, because it's type 2. Nu means our. Nu means our. So the literal translation is our gods. Our gods. But you can see when the verse is translated, it's translated as our God. Because though the form is plural, but translation is God. When you're referring to the true God, you say God. the form that is plural, the spelling that is plural, is a plural of majesty. What grammarians call plural of majesty. So you're not going to say our gods, the Lord our gods. No, you're going to say the Lord our God. Diber means spoke. This is a verb. It means spoke. We're going to look at verbs. Diber means spoke. It comes from the word davar, which means he spoke, to speak. Elenu means to us. He spoke to us. Again, you have that nu, sereyod nu. You can see sereyod nu. Now, this is sereyod on a preposition. In our next chapter, we're going to look at this. For now, just know that this is not a noun. This is not a noun. But elenu means to us. He spoke to us. It means to us. The noun that is having pronominal suffix here in this verse is Elohenu. Elohenu. And it means our God. Translation is the Lord our God spoke to us. The Lord our God spoke to us. And then you have this example here. Ata ovanecha veishtecha. Ata ovanecha veishtecha. Now, these two nouns at the end there, they have pronominal suffixes. You can see echa and cha. Echa and cha. Those two have pronominal suffixes. So let's try to identify them. By the way, ata means you. We looked at this in our previous chapter. Ata means you. Ovanecha, that echa, the segoyod cha, is telling you that that is type 2, but second masculine plural. Type 2, second person masculine plural. Now, banecha is coming from the noun ben. Now, when it goes in the plural, it becomes bane. Bane means sons. U means conjunction, and. You and your sons. Banecha, your sons. Weishtecha, this ishtecha is coming from isha. Isha means wife. When you want to say your wife, you say ishtecha, becomes ishtecha, your wife. So the translation becomes you and your sons. Weishtecha, we is conjunction wow, and your wife. Some translations are going to say thy wife, your wife. Weishtecha, your wife. Ata ovanecha weishtecha. You and your sons, weishtecha, and your wife. You and your sons and your wife. Alright, let's move on. More examples. Let's look at the first one. Baruch Yahweh Elohei Adoni Avraham. Baruch Yahweh Elohei Adoni Avraham. Now here we have one word that is having pronominal suffix. Now by looking, you would think Elohei is having pronominal suffix, but it's not. If you remember that segoyod is a sign of the construct relationship. So you have Elohei Adoni. Elohei is in construct form. Adoni is absolute. So you have Elohei Adoni, meaning Elohei means God. So it's God of. God of. Sereyod is a sign of masculine plural construct noun. But on the name of God, you don't say gods. Since it's a true God you're referring to, you say God. God of. Adoni. That E at the end is first person common suffix. And that's a type 1. It means my. It means my. Adoni means Lord. Adoni means Lord or master. So you have God of my master. God of my Lord. God of my Lord or God of my master. God of my master, Avraham. Avraham is Abraham. You can tell that. If you can pronounce that, you can tell what it means. Avraham is Abraham. Now let's start from the beginning. Baruch Yahweh Elohei Adoni Avraham. Baruch means blessed, blessed. Blessed is Yahweh, is the Lord. Blessed is the Lord, God of my master Abraham. Blessed is the Lord, God of my master Abraham. That's how you translate that. Don't forget constructs, they are very important, and as we are moving on, everything that we've covered in the past is going to be used. And so you need to stay active on the things that we have learned. Let's look at the second one. Now, this one I've already covered, but I've added another portion to it. And so let's look at it. The phrase says, Ovanecha veishtecha uneshe vanecha. Ovanecha veishtecha uneshe vanecha. How to translate this phrase? First of all, you can tell that this word has a lot of nouns with pronominal suffixes. That cha at the end is a sign of pronominal suffix. Let's start with the first one. Ovanecha. That infix, segoyod, is a sign of the plural. This is a sign of type 2. Type 2 suffixes. If you remember, there's type 1 and 2. Segoyod is a sign of type 2 suffixes. And the cha at the end is coming from second person masculine plural. Second person masculine plural. Now, this word banecha is coming from ben. Ben means son. But when you add pronominal suffix, it becomes banecha, which means your. Remember, cha means your. So it becomes your sons. Now you have the conjunction u, so it becomes and your sons. Then we have the conjunction again, veishtecha, and a woman, from isha, woman. Again, that ka means your, and you can tell that the ka is coming from type 1, and type 1 refers to singular nouns. So this one is a singular noun. So veishtecha means your wife, your woman, your woman. Remember, isha can mean wife or woman. Veishtecha, and your woman. Then we have this one, uneshe. Uneshe. Again, you can tell the sereyod is telling you that that is not a pronominal suffix, but a word in construct. Now, uneshe is coming from anashim, which means women. Again, anashim can mean women or wives. So in this case, it means wives. Uneshe, wives, and wives of, because it's construct, and wives of. Then we have vanecha. Vanecha. Vanecha again is coming from the same one as this one. It's coming from ben, and ben means son. It's in the plural. This one is a plural. Why is it plural? Because of the sereyod. It's pointing to type 2 suffix. So this one is a plural. It's second person masculine plural. And because it's plural, the word is going to be translated as sons, your sons. The cha means your, so it's going to be your sons. Uneshe vanecha, and wives of your sons, and wives of your sons. So the entire phrase is going to be Ovanecha veishtecha uneshe vanecha, and your sons, and your wife, and the wives of your sons. The wives of your sons. Or in other words, and your sons' wives. And your sons' wives. That's how you translate that. So you can see that pronominal suffixes are very important. They are used more often, and you need to know them. You need to tell what they mean. You need to be able to recognize them. Aside from that, you need to know your vocabulary, because without vocabulary, you cannot translate a sentence or a phrase. And learning Hebrew is all about learning how to translate, being able to translate for yourself. And so you need to know vocabulary, and you need to know the paradigms. All right, let's look at chapter 11 vocabulary. Let's look at the words that you need to know for chapter 11. We have the nouns. On the nouns of the first one, and this one we've already covered. It's one of the easiest, as well as the second one. The first one is Avraham. Avraham. Avraham means, yes, it means Abraham. Next one we have Avram. Avram. Again, that means Abram. Abram. Next we have Ozen. Ozen. Ozen means ear. It means ear. Next we have M. M means mother. M means mother. Next we have Zerah. Zerah. Zerah means seed, means offspring or descendant. Zerah means seed. Next we have Yosef. Yosef. Yosef means Joseph. Yosef means Joseph. Next we have Yaakov. Yaakov. Yaakov means Jacob. Yaakov means Jacob. Next we have Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim means Egypt. Next we have Moshe. Moshe. Moshe means Moses. Next we have Sus. You must know this one. Sus means horse. Let's come to the verbs. First one we have Bakash. Bakash. Bakash means he sought. He sought or he searched for. Next we have Barach. Barach. Barach means he blessed. Barach means he blessed. Next we have Chazach. 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 That verb means he was strong. Chazach means he was strong. Next we have Malach. Malach. Malach means he reigned. He was king, he reigned. And then we have Avad. Avad means he served. He served or he worked. Can also mean he tilled, more like tilling the ground. Avad, he tilled. So Avad means he served or he worked. Then we come to adjectives. On the adjectives we have Hacham. Hacham. Hacham means wise. Hacham means wise. Then we have Ko. Ko means all. Ko means all. It means every, it means everything or everyone, it means all. Next one we have Rav. Rav. Rav means numerous, it means much. It means numerous, much, or abundant, or great. And this is much as in quantity and not quality. So Rav means much. Then we have particles. We come to particles. We have two. The first one is ein. Ein. Ein means there is not or there are not. Ein means there is not. And then we have yesh. Yesh. Yesh means there is. There is or there are. So these are the words that you find in chapter 11. Practice, practice, practice. Later out.